It's the end of the cool season, so a lot of these plants go into seed. The greens I grow during the winter, like collards, there's a variety of radish that is for greens that I grow. A lot of arugula, borage if you consider that a green, and nasturtium. Those are the ones I grew this year. A lot of them go to seed at this time. It's part of their life cycle as plants. They're an annual. That means you grow one set of them a year. Their lifespan is not longer than a year. Whereas the perennial, stuff like moringa and papaya, the trees, of course. And then I have a few cuttings. Mexican sunflower. And chaya, one of them's in that little red pot there. Cassava right behind it. Those are perennials. Last more than a year. Just put up these tomato cages because I got some tomatoes that are doing alright. Although over here I have some tomatoes that are actually doing good. If I recall correctly, this is the first time I ever had success growing anything other than an Everglades tomato. So definitely learning as I go. Looks like I'm actually going to eat tomatoes from my garden. I think part of my difficulty with tomatoes lies in the fact that I don't like to baby my plants. I feel like if I have to do a lot of watering, a lot of fertilizing, a lot of mulching, a lot of pruning, it doesn't feel that fun for me. So I like the plants that do well on their own. I'm walking up on one right here, moringa. A bunch of little ones here. Some seedlings in the pots. Supposedly one of the healthiest plants you can eat. If I recall correctly, I did read something that said that a lot of people overblow the nutrition of this plant. They say it has more of a bunch of vitamins than other food products, like more calcium than yogurt. That's more vitamin C than oranges. You know, there's like a graph you can see. I think that is actually by dry weight of processed moringa leaf ground up. I don't think the raw leaves are more nutritious just on their own. It is real easy to grow though. I think it's a nitrogen fixer. Pods are edible. Supposedly they clean water. Or take out the sediment or something. Purify water. Neat. The leaves are not that delicious. They're okay. Kind of horseradishy sometimes kind of peanutty. Moringa actually gets way bigger than the ones I've been staring at. Here's one. This bark in front, or this trunk in front, goes all the way up. Pretty far up there. I'd say that's something like 25 feet. That might be on its second year right now, that one. I have cut it back, I think, twice, so you can see some stumps. I think I cut it where that soapy water bottle is hanging. Yeah, moringa is also good as an animal fodder. Grows very well from seed. You can try cuttings if you want, but a lot easier from seed. So I think at some point I might just have a big stand of them, like a thick hedge. And that might be good to include with a few other things for rabbit fodder. Instead of growing like an annual grass or something as fodder, why not have moringa bushes and Mexican sunflower bushes and pigeon pea bushes and cassava bushes. You don't even have to bend over to harvest them. So I think it's just something I'm going to try. Something I'm going to try for the rabbits. I don't like having to buy pelleted feed. I like to get satisfaction out of this place as much as I can, and a little bit of that is growing my own animal food. I don't like going to the store. I feel like a sheep. Or most appropriate phrase is tax livestock. Because I pay tax to drive there. I pay tax to buy a lot of the stuff from the store. Pay insurance and taxes on my car. Taxes on all the repairs to the car. Taxes on the clothes I bought taxes on the clothes I'm wearing to go anywhere in public, basically. Just kind of annoys me, so I get satisfaction doing things that net me some sort of benefit without paying taxes on them every single time. It's like my own personal success every time. Not saying I'm going to totally cheat on taxes or anything, of course. I'm practical. But there's a lot of other reasons besides not paying taxes on this food. A lot of other reasons to grow it, which I've just been rambling about. So I've been noticing my chickens keep basically digging up in any area that I plant anything. So the garden's actually way messier than it should be. There's an example right there. They keep digging up around the bananas and keep digging up here. So I'm trying to figure out the best solution to that problem. But I have noticed that these beds aren't being dug up as much. So looks like most of my plantings are going to have to be out here, where the chickens don't feel so secure and comfy to hang around all day digging up and finding every single seed they can. So I'll be planting out here. I'm going to be planting a few varieties of okra. I listened to an entire book on okra. I believe it was called The Whole Okra. Chris Smith. I have a lot of time to listen to audiobooks, so I listened to that one. And I enjoyed it the whole way through. Whole thing about okra. And as can be expected, it got me in the mood to grow okra, so I'm going to be trying a few varieties all over the garden. I've grown some in the past with mixed success because something I recently learned, one of my problems was that you have to harvest okra like every other day. If you let one of those seed pods go all the way to seed, let's just say it's theorized that the okra will basically think it's at the end of its life cycle. So then it stops producing, ruining the whole point. Okra are wonderful producers. This is just a mixed variety I collected from some okra I grew in the past. I think it was probably Mama Peyton's and some kind of red variety. I think they mixed. I have a few different okra struggling right now. I'm not sure if they're struggling because there's too many nasturtiums in this bed, or because not enough water, or because they were planted fairly early when the soil was still cool. So maybe like they're gonna explode as it starts getting warm. They do look happier. I had my assistant come and take off all the little pods they were trying to produce because I feel like they are too young to be reproducing. Another reason to grow okra, besides its great production of edible vegetables, the leaves are actually edible, and it can last all season, especially here in Florida. I recently read that the United States' biggest producer of okra is Florida, and we can grow it for 10 months, is what I read. So of course I'm sure there are varieties that maybe even do better. There are thousands of varieties of okra. I haven't had a good time finding them all. I found maybe 10 varieties on various seed shops online. 10 different varieties, maybe even 20. But it took there's no one best place to get okra seeds, I found. So look around. I got couple packets off eBay, like random stuff. One was called Long Green Pod Okra, whatever. Personally, I'm just going to let them all hybridize. I don't care that much about specific varieties of okra right now, but they apparently have a lot of different qualities in terms of amount of slime, probably a little bit of flavor and length of the pods before they become too woody to harvest. Interestingly, okra seeds can be made into a tea-like substance. I learned from the book that, I guess in the Civil War, someone wrote a letter once that said that okra was better than coffee or some shit. Well, according to the book, that's not really true, or it was exaggerated. The author tried it. Not that similar to coffee in terms of caffeine or flavor. But what I took away is that it still might be worth adding into a tea. While I'm on the subject of tea, I got a few unusual things you can add in tea. So of course I just said okra seed, but that's an odd thing. Moringa is popular in tea. I have a few herbs here and there. I have some rosemary and some mint, of course. Those can go in tea. They all have different medicinal properties. Basil over there and a little bit of sage. But another interesting thing for tea is loquat leaf. I made a pure loquat leaf tea once, a while ago, and it tasted pretty good. It was mild, kind of a gold in color. I don't remember the taste that well, but I remember it was pleasant. It was probably earthy and slightly citrusy. Gotta try that again. If I remember, I'll make a video on that. But we got some major aphids going on over here. Holy shit. Well, anyway, maybe I'll make some tea sometime. Because I've been working so much, I've been thinking a lot about how money kind of fucking sucks. Everybody's heard that it's the root of all evil. I really feel like it's making us miserable. We care way too much about money. This is nothing new, of course, I know, but I just want to reiterate it, because maybe people aren't hearing it enough. I feel like money kind of makes everybody miserable, and we care way too much about it. Spend our lives trying to get it and get more of it all the time. But money doesn't really make you happy. You only need so much of it. So maybe, since it's not actually the money making you happy, maybe you should figure out what actually makes you happy. Chances are it's probably not anything that's directly tied to money. Maybe some things. What, a big house? Is that really what you want? See your family more? That doesn't require any money. Gardening doesn't require any money. Well, some helps, but eventually becomes a net positive. I wish our society, instead of being based on money, was based on happiness. I sound like a silly hippie, right? Pigeon peas, brand new crop, known as a southern cover crop. And I wish I had known about this, because apparently it's incredibly easy to grow, builds the soil, and has edible peas, cowpeas, and they're incredibly cheap. So why the hell isn't this talked about more? I'm looking forward to having giant vines full of peas. Sounds great. Also an animal fodder. I love not going to the store. My wonderful Katuk bush. Brought that from my little apartment in Inglewood. It's coming back real nice. And it's only mid-February right now, so I expect A lot of yummy katuk. This bed never did that well. The chickens brutalize it. Doesn't get a lot of sun. Although it's gonna get a lot more now. I trimmed one of these bananas. My banana experience is not that good. Bananas were tiny. So this is a Namwa variety. Producing a lot of pups. Only one tree produced bananas so far. But I'm gonna let them stay on the stalk longer this year. They were real small and took a long time to ripen when I cut them off this year. Seemed like they were on there for like a month or two. Maybe I need to just wait longer. One of the beds that the chickens are ruining. Oh, look, some Malabar spinach. It's right here. Malabar spinach, a couple of them. Those are a vine, succulent and slimy. Big broadleaf. Hope those do well. They should. Pretty easy to grow. Hope they do well. Good for soups. Slimy stuff. That includes okra. Good for thickening soups. Malabar spinach, of course, is very nutritious. And grows like a vine up into the trees. So I planted it at the base of a bunch of moringa today. I also planted pole beans because I had a lot of those. Actually, within the last month, I planted 6 new banana trees. There's a couple. And I got a couple there, a couple new ones. And there's 2 in the front. These are apple bananas, so they'll be small. But I like bananas, so I'm okay with having small bananas. Especially if they grow easier. This is a beautiful, beautiful trellis I made a while ago. It's like, I mean, if you can't see the beauty in this trellis, then you must not really understand modern architectural art. Because this thing is a masterpiece. I hope you can feel what I was trying to express with this trellis. It should invoke some strong, powerful emotions in you, if you're artistically inclined, of course. So let me know in the comments below how you felt when you saw this masterpiece of trellis architectural art.